I housed my parents for an entire month and paid for all their living expenses, but they just returned home and told my sister I didn't care and let them starve. For context, I live with my fiancé in a different country than my family. I haven't seen them in over a year, so my parents, 61F and 63M, offered to visit me, and I was beyond happy. They have very humble beginnings in a third world country, and this was their first time making an international trip, so I tried to make sure everything was perfect and as smooth as possible. They came and spent about a month at our house. They had their own bed, their own bathroom, and I arranged for all their necessities. Even though we're not rich, my fiancé and I tried to provide them with everything so they wouldn't have to spend their money here, where the currency is 5 times their own. Regarding our eating habits, my fiancé and I have different schedules and diets, so we don't eat together. Whenever one of us is hungry, we go to the kitchen and make ourselves a plate of food. We work from home. I explained this to my parents and also said the kitchen is yours, grab whatever you want and cook whenever you want. As time went on, we noticed my parents weren't eating much, so I asked them what they wanted from the grocery store so I could buy it for them. They said everything was fine, that they were indeed eating while I was working. My mom is naturally peckish, so I thought that was just how she ate. I haven't lived with my parents in over 10 years, so I wouldn't know for sure. In any case, my fiancé brought my dad to the grocery store with him and told my dad, grab whatever you want. He only grabbed a few items. Anyway, this went on for pretty much the whole month. Every time I asked, they said it was all fine. At some point, I started taking them out for dinner every day after work, which quite literally broke the bank, but at least I could see them eating. They left a few days ago, saying they loved their stay and that they had a blast. So, to my surprise, my sister, 40F, called me today, ripping me a new one, saying that my parents told her they had no food to eat. That there was food in the fridge they couldn't eat because it belonged to us, and that they had to keep making trips to the convenience store to buy food for themselves, spending a lot of money. I couldn't believe my ears. I'm feeling totally blindsided by this. I thought they knew how to cook their own food, and if something was missing, they would have told me to buy it. I took their word for it when they said everything was fine and that they were eating. My sister says I should have been more attentive to their needs and that I acted like I didn't care. Now I'm feeling bad, thinking my parents were miserable and starving the whole time, while I thought they were fine. I don't want to bring this up to my fiancé. He will be devastated. He was genuinely trying his best to make my parents happy. Am I wrong here? What more could I have done? My head is spinning right now, so sorry for the long text. Commenter. My in-laws are like this. When they come to visit, they are so out of sorts that even though we take them to the store and everything is the same, cooking in our kitchen is complicated, and they can't do it. They get sick from the air here, they are hungry but don't want to be a bother or mess with anything, the water is different and upsets their stomach, etc., etc. My husband would beat himself up, bending over backward, and now they are at breaking point because there are cultural and age-related barriers we can't seem to get through, barriers that have only increased with age. His sisters will call us when they are here and tell us the same things. We can take them to the store to get the exact coffee they drink at home, and they'll say they like ours, but then call his sisters and say they're getting sick because of our coffee. This may be a challenge because they're so uncomfortable outside of their norm, whether it's out of the country, out of their home, or just out of their environment, that they lose the capacity to be self-sufficient. You should try to talk with them, but keep in mind they may have barriers or walls built up that they either need to realize or can't realize. Especially if they are older and haven't left their comfort zone for most of their life. Ops response. OMG, thank you so much for this insight. I think you're absolutely correct. My dad has a terrible habit of complaining about everything. We took them to see one of the 7 wonders of the world, paid for a huge Airbnb, and his first comment was, "Oh, the clock on the wall is broken." I feel like there's nothing I could do that would be enough. He'll always have something bad to say. Your comment really helped me make sense of this situation, so thanks again. Update 1 day later. Thank you so much for all the replies, I appreciate all the insights. It was kind of funny to see how invested some of you got over my family drama, lol, so that made me feel less down. Anyway, I got a hold of my mom, who is the most level-headed family member, and asked her what they said that caused my sister to have such a strong reaction. Some of you were correct, my sister did blow this out of proportion. But also, my parents, particularly my dad, have a strong sense of inadequacy, which I was aware of, but I never thought I would become the focus of it. Essentially, she said my dad felt like he didn't deserve any of the things we were doing for them, which is why he chose junk food over the quality food we provided. My dad has had some self-hatred throughout my whole life, he is very overweight, he smokes, and he's also a functional alcoholic. My partner and I are fitness-oriented people, so we paid for a monthly gym subscription for both of them so we could all go together. They both said they wanted it, but my dad went only a few times. I did notice he was smoking a lot more than I remember, and he was also buying beers every week. But I guess it was his way of coping with whatever feelings were triggered by his first international trip. Apparently, he never thought he would go anywhere. My sister heard all of this and thought that I did something to make my dad feel this way, that I mistreated him or somehow caused it. I don't know. None of this is true. I was super happy to have my parents here, and I'm not ashamed of them whatsoever. I was proud to introduce my family to my American friends, and everyone went above and beyond to make them feel welcome. I did everything I could possibly think of. I'm not rich, but I'm prudent with my money, so I do have a comfortable life. This doesn't mean I can stop working tomorrow. I'm not a millionaire. But the issue isn't with me, it's with how my parents feel inside. It's almost like I'm being punished for leaving poverty behind, and somehow they chose to distance themselves, as if I'm an outsider. So it wasn't about the food, it was about my dad and his extreme inferiority complex, which stopped him from enjoying his time and connecting with me, my partner, in my house, and my new reality. My mom did apologize on behalf of my sister and said she had planned on talking to me but regretted that she didn't, especially given how my sister brought this issue to me. I don't know how to digest all of this, but yeah, I guess I have some therapy sessions ahead of me. Anyway, thanks for reading.
Reddit Stories, JJ.